Well, my next guest is Husam Zomlot, who is the head of the Palestinian mission to the United Kingdom. His cousin was just killed by the Israeli military in Gaza, heading north to try to find food for his family. Zomlot shared this photo of his cousin, writing, "Saeed told me his children were starving and he had no choice but to go north of Gaza in search of food. I asked him to be careful. He went and never came back." Husam Zomlot joins me now live today from the West Bank, and it's good to have you, sir, and I am sorry for your loss. Can you just tell us a little more about the experience of your family in Gaza?
Thank you, Vicky. It's the experience of every family. My family is facing the exact same, like every single Palestinian family in Gaza. This is a forced starvation. It is a campaign and an act of eradication, of extermination, of annihilation. And Saeed was one. Every day we follow tens of people are killed as they are seeking food and aid deliberately. Their killers know what these people are. They are desperate civilians in search of food for their children. The situation in Gaza is simply no longer can be described in words, Vicky. You cannot begin to choose the term to describe this evil, criminal approach where mass starvation, mass destruction, mass murder is being conducted, live streams in the world. So may Saeed, my cousin, rest in peace, and may all of our people rest in peace and power, and may this genocide end immediately, and may the war criminals be held to account.
Husam, you have supported the move that we just reported by the United Kingdom to set a deadline to unilaterally recognise a Palestinian state, saying it, quote, carries particular historical and moral weight. But this is what the US president says. Have a listen.
You could make the case that you're rewarding people, that, you know, you're rewarding Hamas if you do that. And I don't think they should be rewarded.
What do you say to President Trump in response to that idea that the UK is rewarding Hamas?
What Sir Keir Starmer, the UK Prime Minister, said himself in his announcement, in his statement, that recognition of the state of Palestine is not a gift, is not a favor, it's not a reward, it's not a punishment, but it is the inalienable right of the Palestinian people, and I add, a very long overdue right to be fulfilled, particularly by Britain. And you know, Vicky, that Britain has something to do with this situation since the colonial era and the Balfour Declaration, and promising our land without consulting us and turning us, the native population, into just non-Jewish minorities, where in fact we were 96% of the population owning 98% of the land and the properties. So Britain has such a historic responsibility on what has befallen the Palestinian people, this deep century-old oppression, agony, targeting, and uprooting our people from the Nakba of 1948, where Britain was in mandate of Palestine, and its historic responsibility to make sure that Palestine is prepared for statehood. We were prepared for displacement and replacement, and prepared for the Nakba. So what Sir Keir Starmer did yesterday, what David Lammy, the Foreign Secretary, did in the General Assembly at that podium, is nothing less than historic, a significant step in the right direction, the beginning of correcting history, the beginning of correcting this grave injustice that Britain has responsibility to us. So it is absolutely meaningful, and we intend to build on it towards a real role of the Kingdom.
And you were just pointing out that the foreign minister, of course, echoing and the UK Prime Minister's words at the UN conference co-sponsored by France and Saudi over the past couple of days on a future Palestinian state, on the future for a two-state solution. I want to talk about that and the future of Hamas in this context of this conference. The declaration out of this summit says, I'm just going to read it to you unless you haven't seen it, I'm sure you probably have, but for our viewers' sake as well. Hamas must end its rule in Gaza and hand over its weapons to the Palestinian Authority in line with the objective of a sovereign and independent Palestinian state. It's worth noting a member of Hamas's political bureau said to CNN back in 2024 that the group would disarm if an independent state was established, with Jerusalem as the capital. But the UN declaration seems to imply that that disarmament should be a step on the path towards a Palestinian state, not as a result of this. And this declaration, signed on by Saudis, by Qatar, by Egypt, and so it goes on. How likely do you believe Hamas is to heed this call, coming as it does now from Arab states, including Qatar and Saudi Arabia?
The true answer, I don't know. However, we have a plan, and the plan has received the support and the consensus of A, the Arab world, and B, the international community, including the UK. The plan goes with and starts with a ceasefire. And there is a ceasefire proposal, as you know, Becky, a US proposal that has been on the table for more than 15 months. It has been respected for only few weeks, and every time, for 3 times, Netanyahu breaks these ceasefires. In this plan, that is now an Arab plan, Gaza will have one committee that will oversee the situation in Gaza, will provide for Gaza. That committee is made of technocrats, not Hamas, not Fatah, not any political faction is there. And then we move swiftly to the rebuilding of Gaza, to the enabling people to stay on their land and in their homes. And then we go straight into a political horizon sort of path where we implement the two-state solution. This is the plan that we have right now. And Hamas, other than Hamas, any other group is a Palestinian conversation. How do we do so? There is a dialogue that is going on. There are mediators. And indeed, all have to be in line with the Palestinian national legitimacy and institutions.
Right. And I just must ask you, before I let you go, and thank you for persevering, because I know that technically this was a very difficult interview to get up from where you are today. How involved do you want to be in this reformed PA and this governance system going forward? What is your role going forward? Do you want a leadership role?
Me personally, you mean?
Yes. Putting you on the spot.
Vicky, the honor of my life is to be the voice and the ambassador and the representative of the greatest people, the people of Palestine. At such historic moment, I wouldn't have dreamed of anything more. I wouldn't have wanted anything more except to be a Palestinian representative in the UK, in Britain, and before it, you remember, I was in Washington, an ambassador to the US. Now in London, at this historic moment, is the highest I can really aim for, and I really aim to continue. But I am nonetheless part of the polity and part of the political system, and as an ambassador and as a member of the Palestine National Council, and which is the parliament of the PLO,
right.
And as a elected member of Fatah, I am already part of the leadership.
Yeah. Well, nobody's ruling out another role for you, Husam. I'm pretty sure about that. But as the consummate diplomat, I get your answer, and I thank you very much indeed for joining us. And over the years that you and I have been speaking, I really very much appreciate your time as ever, particularly over these past 21 months or so. You and I have spoken on a regular basis. I appreciate it. Thank you.